So tell us what inspired you. Obviously, it's a fantastic work. It got viral on Twitter and obviously has moved around all over the place. But of course, the message is what resonates. We've always been talking about in the progressive movement, everything really rests with labor, and you captured it in a very good way in the sense that you could tell people that the labor movement is important, but if you incorporate music and rhythm and that type of thing, it gets people into it. It's like, oh yeah, right, that's right, labor does matter. So kind of what inspired you to do it, and what's it been like over the past couple of weeks as things have really taken off?
Yeah, so I mean, it all kind of came out of trying to make sense of what we were experiencing in the pandemic, watching as in Georgia, the economy reopened after only a matter of weeks, and all of these essential workers that now don't deserve a living wage were being sacrificed for the economy. Healthcare workers getting totally disrespected while they, worked poured their hearts out to save lives. Looking at the way that there was a massive transfer of wealth from working people to the billionaires. You see people taking advantage of PPP loans. Meanwhile, their workers that work under the table for them aren't eligible for unemployment. And all these kinds of exploitation like that is where I started to sort of beef up my analysis of what the role of labor in the larger movement for collective liberation, right? And so with everything, I started processing what I was coming to see through hip hop by sitting alone in my house during, shelter in place, just writing rhymes about it. I would hear about this or that group, calling for a boycott or calling for a strike or, picketing. And I would write it down just as a way to make sense of what was going on. But I like that you kind of brought up the fact that you put the song on, you're like, oh, yo, this is a bop. And then you kind of realize what it's about sometimes. Because to me, that's a lot of why I do hip hop in the first place. Somebody might not come to a meeting at City Hall or even like hip hop that much, but if you kind of use the aesthetics of hip hop to lure people into learning something about the world, about the political analyses and action we need to get everybody free, then cool. So my whole album, talking about all sorts of different topics, with beats that you might want to bump on your way to work, feel that subwoofer vibrating a little bit. And then as you think deeper about it, maybe there is a need for international solidarity. Maybe the idea of prison abolition is a hopeful one rather than a scary one, all these kinds of things. And so it's been really great, particularly with this song, seeing it do exactly what I hoped it would, in that giving people might for the fight in this moment where so many folks are coming out the woodwork to organize their workplaces or learning about unionizing, not accepting the status quo anymore. So I really hope it continues to give people hope, give people, verve to keep fighting, because we're starting to get momentum that could turn into something real.
We're speaking with Mariah Parker, County Commissioner from Athens, Clarke County, Georgia.
I have something very profound to say.
Okay, say it.
Ooh.
But just when I was watching that, it's not just the idea of using music to engage people into things. We've been doing that for years, in all different genres. You use music, it engages people to do it. But your video really addresses, and at the risk of sounding overwoke, and I don't really mean this real intersectionality between race and class. And I find that we've had guests on many times where they don't see that. They really see it as they're separate things. And I mean, both ways. And I think that it's so important to recognize that there is a very big majority of people in that community that are Black. And there's a big link in that. So I was very appreciative of that on a kind of deeper level, because I think that it's important to merge.
Yo, look, they don't teach people this because they are scared that they would learn from it. But when Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated, he was down in the South trying to organize white and Black people to come together, the white and Black working classes to come together to march for economic freedom. And that scared them worse than all of the marching for civil rights that they had did. They really, the powers that be really want people to be fighting. This is another theme on my album. They want us to fight each other rather than fight them. And so trying to create a multiracial working class sense of solidarity through the song, using hip hop, using the old school, minor strike, refrain. And then, the channel, Pueblo Unido Jamás Será Vencido, to bring in our Latino brothers and sisters. I'm just trying to bring everyone together rather than thinking about it solely in terms of class or solely in terms of race.
So obviously you have probably experienced quite a bit of attention over the past couple of weeks. Good friend of the show, awesome guy. Bo with the Fifth Column had you on the other day, and obviously,
isn't he the best?
Yo, he's such a nice dude. And it's so funny. My introduction to him had been like during the pandemic. My roommate watched him religiously, and so I recognized his voice, like, you know, emanating when I was like cooking in the kitchen. But yeah, no, he's really dope. He's real cool.
And that, of course, leads to a very important question, because as you know, your neighbors here in, just south of you in the Sunshine State have a serious problem with labor, because we are a right to work state, and building that collective solidarity. Perhaps the biggest issue when Jen ran for Congress against Wasserman Schultz is the fact that the head of our county AFL-CIO has been basically in political bed, if you will, with Debbie for the past
We're saying it figuratively.
Decades.
We're not addressing
I said political.
Okay.
I said political.
I'm just saying.
And so that within itself is obviously a huge problem. How would you assess the labor movement currently in the state of Georgia?
I mean, I would say that with this like rising class consciousness in the pandemic, like more people are starting to like wake up to like, yo, like I can't take this anymore. What should I do? And turning to all these kinds of new options. So young people, especially considering the huge wage gap between like baby boomers and Gen X and like millennials and Gen Z, like folks are just not having it anymore and turning to whatever it means they can. So more people are learning about the idea of organized labor, but it is a struggle as a right to work state. I mean, we have had wins here in Athens, Georgia. The labor union on the campus of the University of Georgia allied with some anti-racist activists that were super pissed that the university had just moved like a bunch of like slave graves that were buried under an academic building, like, and didn't tell anyone. So we all came together and like, all right, what do we want them to do to address this situation? And together we actually won wage increases for the workers at the University of Georgia, 46% of whom working in, non-salary jobs are Black people, and 2,000 of whom were making less than a living wage. And so, we are seeing the power of organized labor in these small instances to make change. But yeah, there's still a lot of fear. There's still a lot of misinformation and not in lack of understanding about what your rights are with regards to labor organizing. But people are starting to wake up. People are starting to like get involved, because like, what else are we supposed to do? We ain't gonna sit around here and let things stay the same. So it's a hopeful moment, though it's also a challenging one.
Yeah, I'm thinking good for you that you use the ill-gotten gains of the capitalist system to basically benefit you in a really good position and really set up like that. It's really brilliant, actually. I mean, it's really riding the horse in the direction that it's going.
So when is your next election, and what is your next plan? I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of chatter about you taking the next step and whatnot. So what is your current situation? What are you maybe looking to do?
Yeah, so I just won re-election in 2020. So this is my second term. So I have three years left in my second term. So we'll see what we can get done in that period of time. I had a long thought that like the guy before me had served for 25 years and like run unopposed the whole time. Yeah. And so I was like, well, it's going to take me 25 years to like fix the mess he made. But I'm increasingly starting to think that thinking is a problem. Like, think about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for example. She's been in there forever and thinks she should just stay forever because she really loves power more than she loves like actually working for the people. And people, when they get in there for a long time, they just think they're the only one I'm the only one that's right. I'm the only one that can fix anything, and cling to power for power's sake. And so I'm reevaluating whether like how long I should stay in politics. I do think getting new blood in there is super important. And rather than like stick it out and say, well, I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Maybe, I got in when I was 26, maybe getting the next crop of 26-year-olds in there and like, just going and doing my music thing. We'll see. But I do intend to stay engaged. I come out of a background as a community organizer. At some point in my life, I will go back to that. I'm still doing it. So like, that's always going to be a part of my life, whether or not elected office continues to be.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.